Whoa.
And then I just like.
All right, guys. We're gonna get through the rest of this. We'll get a little bit into command systems, but here's the kicker, folks. I will not be quizzing you on command system tomorrow, so we'll make it a little bit of notes today. We're gonna wait until next week for that one. All right. So while you guys are getting your notes out, who in here had some sort of experience this week with self-interest or incentives affecting them? Who can give me an example? Wow. Okay. Anybody else? An example where there was self-interest involved or an incentive that affected your self-interest.
My mom said that as long as I get good grades, she'll pay for my self-insurance.
Very nice, right? As long as I get good grades, right? So my self-interest now adjusts. Like, as long as I get this, I'll be okay. Well, my mom's going to pay for my insurance if I get good grades. Okay, I'm getting good grades. So I can adjust my self-interest by incentives. I heard someone say grocery shopping. What was your self-interest with grocery shopping?
Eating food.
I was hungry. I wanted food. Were there any deals or sales, or like buy one get one free, or buy one get one half off?
Not that I can remember.
Okay. Anybody deal with that this week? Anybody get like a Monster drink or a Rockstar or something? Speedway has some really good ones. Buy two for this or buy three for this. Yeah, go Speedway. Buy three for $5.25. Yeah, right. Right. So self-interest, incentive. There's a disincentive right there.
So I'm about to write my.
Gas is a little expensive. I gotta figure out other ways. Anybody hear about how many ships are stuck out in the port in California? As of Monday, it was 81. Okay, so now here's the deal. This is kind of interesting. I was amazed at this. I looked up 81 ships. Each ship can hold about 100,000 of those the things that fit in the back of trucks. So we're looking at, so let's just do the math real quick. Keep in mind, those are all completely filled. Technically, it's 124,000 containers times 80 ships. So about 9 million containers waiting to just be offloaded. Right? This is absolutely crazy. So we have a supply chain shortage. So last night, for those who didn't watch, I watched a part of it. President Biden was on talking about trying to fix this. And so what's happening now is that port and like 3 other major ports are going to be going 24/7, offloading and transferring. But then they have to contact the truckers to get the shipments moving. Because they can get them off the ships, that's fine, but then there's no more space because the truckers aren't taking them places. So they're trying to find more truckers to take these shipments. And Walmart, Target, UPS, FedEx, and I think 2 or 3 other companies have now decided to, well, not Target, but Walmart's going to go back to 24 hours open. So
What?
So Walmart is looking to make that change. If you didn't, do you work at Walmart?
Yeah, I do.
So they made the agreement with President Biden to do this. And FedEx and UPS, I'm not sure how that's going to work. Are they going to be? So the question that, of course, popped in my mind because he said they were going to be going 24 hours a day as well.
I work today, but I'm calling off.
But I already know someone who works for UPS, and she works the third shift. So she's already working that late night shift. So now my question is, well, if that's already happening, are they talking about delivering at like 3 a.m.? So you like wake up in the morning and your shipment's going to be at your door? So I'm curious to see if that's what they're going to do. Yeah. Right. So.
We're remodeling
I
our
thought you had
store,
anything.
so
Are they?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And keep in mind too, you have the different franchises that sometimes may or may not agree with this. All right, now this, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to. I just made the quiz up. I just put the questions together. You will see a question about the invisible hand and these 3 phrases right here: self-interest, competition, and then invisible hand. one of the things that we like in our country and the market system, I should say, is competition, because it provides us with the best possible things we can get, right? Because if I am going to Joe's, Joe, what program are you in?
Precision machining.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Joe because I have a specific part I need made, right? And I know that his company does a really good job, and I've worked with him for years. He uses the best quality stuff. He's got some of the best guys working for him. But at one point in time, I'm talking to Joe, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to raise my prices because the cost of materials is going up, yada yada yada." And I'm like, "Oh man, that sucks." I'm like on the edge of not being able to afford this stuff, but I need his parts. And all of a sudden, Lynn comes to me and says, "Well, I heard you're struggling. I also do the same exact things, but I have a different supplier that gets me those same things a little bit cheaper. I can sell that same thing to you and make it the same basic way as Joe, but for about $20 or $30 cheaper." All right? No, all right. Well, let's look at your specs. Let's have a meeting and talk about this. If you find out that I'm not talking to Lynn, what might you do to get me coming back to your business?
Try and drop my prices.
Yeah, you're going to now try to find something, a way to finagle, right? You guys witness this all the time at the gas stations when there's like 2 or 3 at a corner. There's always that like 1 cent difference. Sometimes they're the same. You're always going to see that little competition. I ran into this. Was it last summer? I was at Mucho Bueno with my nieces, and we were eating, and some lady came in and was talking. Has everybody been to Mucho Bueno in Brunswick? The older gentleman that owns the place, really sweet, really nice guy. Matter of fact, I sometimes go just because I like the guy so much. He's just like so nice. But this woman comes up to him and says, "Hey, I'm a locally run and operated farm. I can provide you all of those same things you're getting from this company you're using for," I think it was like 25% less, because I'm locally owned and grown and I can do those things for you. And as I was sitting there talking to my nieces, I heard this happen, and I thought, "Oh, this isn't going to happen right now." Well, she gave him some information, and before we left, the guy's like, "Well, maybe I'll give you a call. It sounds really, really good." So just that in and of itself. Now, the fun thing for me as a customer, though, is if it's cheaper stuff for him, what might he be able to do?
Lower prices.
He might. Would he lower the prices? Probably not. He'll probably keep the prices the same. It's already relatively cheap anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
they're already really low.
Yeah. So, because then what he makes is more profits and makes it more appetizing for him to keep the business running. Right. So, but in the end, the owner of the company is doing it out of self-interest, right? I want to get my customers. I'm doing it out of self-interest because I want the cheapest good for the best possible product. And this just happens all the time. No one is telling us to do this, right? Who in here has ever gone shopping and you're like, "Well, I know it's over there, but I think I'm going to go," like my mom is the epitome of this, where you go from store to store to store to store, and try to find the best deal. Who in here is not that person? You just go in, buy it, get it, and leave. I tend to do that more often than not. They used to have, I don't know if they still have it or not, there used to be a scanner that you could buy. You could get an app, and it would scan the item, and then it would tell you how much it costs at all the different places like nearby. So, but again, invisible hands, that concept is what I was just talking about. Something is moving the economy. It's not the government, right? It's us independently making our own decisions, making these changes, raising the prices, lowering the prices, getting more shipments, getting less of that. I'm going to go into this business. I'm not going to go into that business. No one's forcing us to do this. Yeah. Okay. So this is a small little video clip, nothing extraordinarily fun or exciting, but it kind of explains it a little bit more in depth. If it works. There we go.
The reason we have all these products in a supermarket is that greed inspires millions of people all over the world to work together. Take this steak. How did this get here? It's sunrise, Manning Island. At the Weiss farm, David Weiss is saddling up for another 14-hour workday. It's longer during calving season. There's so much work for the ranchers. Fixing fences, digging ditches, feeding the cows, harvesting hay. Why do they work so hard to get their beef to people like me in New York?
Do you think it's because they love people in New York? No, they love themselves. And by promoting their own self-interest, they make sure New Yorkers have beef. It's not because they care about New Yorkers, they care about themselves.
The Luises are only the first of a series of people who, by caring about themselves, make sure I get my steak. There's Virgil Rasanke, who delivers the propane that heats the cattl's water.
They've got to drink water and they can't drink frozen water.
Wanda Nelson keeps the packing house clean.
Make sure the plant is sanitized before we start production.
Then there are the people who slaughter the cattle, who cut the beef, the people who make their knives, their overalls, their protective gear, and the people who make the plastic that seals the meat, and the machines that do the sealing, and the people who pack the meat in boxes, and the people who make the boxes and inspect the boxes.
You gotta check the boxes and make sure they don't get bad boxes.
Then there are the people who run the freezer facilities, the people who track orders by barcode, the people who make the barcode machines, and the truck driver, Randall Gilbert, who's hauling my steak to New York. Thousands of people have to work together to get the food to market. Are they doing all this for me?
No, I don't think of it that way.
No.
I think about making boxes and money.
Who's John Stossel?
I'm no one to Virgil Rasanke.
I never heard of him.
Virgil and all these other people don't really care if some TV correspondent gets his steak, yet they cooperate to make it happen, motivated by self-interest. Is that greed?
We're in a business just like everybody else, to make money. Provide for my 3 boys, my wife.
Buys you a house, buys you really nice vehicles.
In a free market, you get more for yourself by serving your fellow man. You don't have to care about him, just serve him. And ask yourself, how much would get done if it all depended on human love and kindness? I feel sorry for New Yorkers in terms of beef. If it all depended on human love and kindness, I doubt whether you'd have one cow in New York.
Probably right. And even if we don't like to admit it, self-interest, directed by the invisible hand of market prices, explains why steak gets to New Yorkers and why products arrive at your local supermarket in just the right quantities. Some 230 years ago, Adam Smith, the father of economics, pointed out that the invisible hand caused self-interest in individuals to cooperate with others. Smith understood you don't need central planners. The invisible hand gets people to provide others with things that they value.
Has anybody ever noticed at stores or restaurants, both groups say thank you? So if I get the check and I'll say thank you, and the waiter or waitress says thank you, because we're both getting something for the transaction. It's kind of interesting. Like typically it's just here you go, thank you, you're welcome. No, thank you, thank you. So it's kind of an interesting little twist. All right, last little slide on here. Good. So advantages we see. Now there's going to be a question with this on it, which is why I wanted you guys to see this grid. There are advantages to this free market. Are there disadvantages? Yes. We'll get to that in a second. But the advantages themselves we tend to see them outweighing those disadvantages. Efficient response to changes in the marketplace. Right? So this whole thing with the shipping containers, how quickly can we adjust to this? Can we make adjustments? Can we find new sources? Can we get more truckers? So all we got to do is pay them some more money. And yeah, we can try to figure out what's going on. During the hurricane season, what do a lot of construction companies do during hurricane season? Anybody know? Especially when Hurricane Katrina hit. Construction up north slowed way down, and all those construction companies went down south and they were living out of hotels for like a month at a time to help out, right? Because they knew what they were doing. I'm going to go down there and make this stuff work. So changing market conditions, I can adjust to those relatively quickly. Gas prices, why they turned everything digital. It's one of the reasons why they turned everything digital. As things happen, we'll change the price. It used to be literally like, has anybody seen the old one with the big huge suction cups? It's like, there was a person I was watching one time doing it, and they had this big huge long pole because they had to get up on top, and they little suction cup it on, and you lift it up and you bring it over, and you have to slide it over.
It's like
And
a
then-
Free Ridge.
Yeah, right? That is the old school way. That was slow, laborious. You couldn't change the price halfway through the day. Now, change something in the system, or it's hooked up to corporate, and they just change it for me, and it automatically adjusts. Freedom of choice for consumers and producers. Think about the amount of choices you guys have, and we're not even a pure market system. We still have a lot of government involvement in our day-to-day basis. But the choices, absolutely a massive amount of choices. And was it even the generic brands, right? So you go to Giant Eagle and you have the name brand, which you can find at any store, and then you have the Giant Eagle brand. Or you go to Target and you have the Target brand. Or you go to Sam's Club and you get the Sam's Club brand. You go to Costco, you got Kirkland. Everyone has their, it's amazing. Which then brings up the idea of variety of goods. Right? So we have this massive variety of choices. So it doesn't have to, who in here has ever gone to Amazon thinking, I gotta find this item, but no one, and you type in, I'm trying to think of something I've done. The Orbit toothpaste, the toothbrush, the new one, the electric one. It comes with the head, but it doesn't have a protector on it, like a little plastic protector that keeps it covered. So because who in here who are my DMT people? Right? Did they ever talk with you guys about the most disgusting thing in the bathroom? Is the toothbrush. Because the flush and there's a splash, and we tend to leave our toothbrushes out, so they talk about covering them up. So like Sonicare provides a little cover. The Orbit doesn't. So I thought, I wonder if there's a cover for the Orbit. So I typed in Orbit toothbrush, and all of a sudden it came up with cover. It's like, okay, so someone has to create this. So the variety of goods. And then think about the growth and innovations we have in this system that we live in. Constantly new, like even today, I got the lovely update 8.01 for your Apple Watches. For those who don't know, there's new updates, right? I think the iPhone updated the 15.02 now is the newest update, right? Here's a nice thing about the market system as well. You benefit from creating new stuff. Who in here, in our system, who in here has heard of copyrights and patents? Right? You patent something, no one else can claim it as their own. You get all the perks, all the royalties. I'm trying to think of a guidance counselor in middle school. I remember him telling us that he patented a garbage bag holder, which essentially was a rubber band around the top of the garbage bag. But he put all the legal documents in, so anybody who marketed anything that was like his garbage bag holder, he would get a portion of the profits because he patented it. Right? So you invent something new, everyone owes you a little bit of money. Now, here's the blessing and the curse of the market system. The blessing is I can do pretty much anything and everything I want. The curse is I can pretty much do anything and everything I want. Anything and everything I want. Because there's no regulations. It's just free and clear, right? So as much as these are awesome things to be able to do, there's a part of us that doesn't like it when bad things happen. In a market system, as long as I'm profitable and I'm being efficient, then bad things aren't necessarily bad. Right? So morals don't play any ground in a market system. There was a video I from years ago. Anybody remember Mad TV? It was like the alternate to SNL. It was a little bit more edgy, although SNL's kind of gone down that road as well. But they spoof Burger King. So Burger King's old logo used to, or tagline was, "We'll make it your way." And so Mad TV had a little bit of fun with that in regards to variety of goods.
I'm supposed to meet me yesterday. If nigga show up, bro, I will cut him. Bro, yes, I will. You remember what happened last time, right? When he had said he didn't hook up with Tracy, and then I found out what he did. Bro, I cut him. Oh, bro, yes, I did, bro. He said, yes, you see me in the middle of a conversation? Don't interrupt, bro. I'm trying to call you back. Welcome to King Burger, where we can do it your way, but don't get crazy.
I get a number 6 with a cookies and cream milkshake.
You sure you just don't want to Coke?
Right.
Yeah, morning, gotta get the ice cream out, put some cookies all in it. I don't even know how to use that blender. They're gonna be pressing all these crazy buttons. No, you can have a Coke. Let me get number 6 with a large Coke. Next.
Hi, I'll have a number 3 with no cheese, no tomato, and no lettuce.
Okay, anything else? I got a complicated order. Let me get number 3 with no cheese, no tomato.
Wait, I'm sorry,
Excuse me, sir. You see me trying to put in my order? Don't interrupt. Rude. And no lettuce. That's it. What?
I changed my mind about the cheese.
Oh, now you want some cheese.
Yes.
Now you want some cheese? You see me put in the order, why you didn't say that in the first place?
I tried to, but...
No, sir. Don't get loud with me, sir. Do not get loud with me. Oh, no. Security. Security. This still needs to go. Needs to go. Thank you.
One quick, please.
Okay, Mr. Williams. How are you today, sir?
I've had better days, Bon Quick. This is the 5th time you called security. Now, how many times do I have to tell you you cannot call security just because somebody has a complicated order?
Is that what you were saying?
Yes, that's what I had said.
Oh, you're right, Mr. Williams. Okay, I'm sorry. Next, please.
Hi, can I get a number 5 with a boneless, skinless chicken that is lightly seasoned?
No, security! Security, this needs to go. Needs to go.
Wait.
What?
Sir, she was trying to fight me, sir.
No, I wasn't.
Well, I will cut you.
I'm sorry, she's with our Out of the Hood program.
Oh. Hey, Dwight.
Man, what's going on, Bon Quick?
I didn't know you come here.
Yeah, man, I ain't on no house arrest no more.
Okay. What you want to order, boo?
Hey, let me get number 3, and instead of fries, we got some onion rings.
Okay, that's all you want. I know what I want.
What?
Let me put in your order.
Okay, dude.
All right. We're going to get through this slide, then we'll stop. So all the market system stuff we were talking about, your choices, whatever you want to do, you pick. You want it, great. You don't want it, no big deal. Go someplace else. You want to make that? Awesome. How do you want to make it? However you want to. Now we're switching to the exact opposite, almost the antithesis, right? One of the best examples I can come up with, the closest one I can come up with, is North Korea. North Korea, to give you guys an idea of central planning, Kim Il-sung was the guy who basically started the whole current dynasty that is what we now know. So we have Kim Jong-un, who's the current leader, his father, Kim Jong-il, and then the grandfather of the current leader is Kim Il-sung, and that was the guy that was alive during the Korean War. One of the laws that they put in place under Kim Il-sung was the 3-generation law, the 3-generation rule. So let's say that Travis spoke out against the leaders of North Korea. Well, then what would happen, Travis, is I would put you in jail along with your entire family. I would then, and I'm not joking around, I would then breed you with females that were also in prison. You would work at the camp your entire life until you died, and then your kids would be raised in that camp. Your kids would be breeded amongst another group of women or men, depending, and then move on to the 3rd generation. After the 3rd generation, the 4th generation that would be born would be allowed to go back into society. Right? So basically, they were going to breed out any of the dissenters of the government. And that still exists today in North Korea. Another real quick side story about Kim Jong Un, current leader. His uncle spoke out against him right when he took office, and I believe it was a week or two later, his uncle was killed by the government, and his aunt and nephews and nieces were put in the prison camp for the rest of their lives. Right, so that's pretty much a command central planning economy, right, where the government controls everything. The other less aggressive version is school. If you really think about school is centrally planned. It's a command economy. Right? You come into school. I mean, as simple as parking in a parking lot. If you guys see me on Thursdays, one of the jobs I'm supposed to have is tell people to get out of their cars and go to school. Right? Which some of you guys instantly typically pull in, park, get up, and go. But right, I'm walking around, knocking out windows. Hey, come on, head back. It's a command system. It's essentially planned. Hey, we don't want the kids out in the parking lot. The fear that something else is going on in the cars. The mask thing, right? We are mask mandates, right? That's a command system. That actually is a version of the command system we're dealing with right now. Mask mandates versus non-mask mandates. Mandating vaccines, not. So we're seeing that. Think about just assignments in school, right? And the bell. Let's just look at the bell. Bell rings, you guys get up, you go to the next class. Bell rings, you sit down and work on your stuff in your class. I give you an assignment, it's due today, you turn it in, I then grade it and tell you yes or no, right? Or sort of. So it's a command system. It's very centrally planned. One of the big issues you run into with a command system is sometimes the central planners, and in this situation, you guys can look at the administration and the teachers, just don't understand what's going on. Right? There have been times, even as a coach, where like what was it yesterday, a couple days ago, I took the kid's phone, and the student said, "But it was my dad that was texting me." And I was like, "Well, if I'm sticking with my policy is no phones in the classroom. I'm going to take your phone and put it in phone jail up there." She's like, "But it's not fair." And I was like, a situation. So sometimes the rules that we have don't apply to or don't take into account situation stuff. But it doesn't matter. It's a command system. It's a centrally planned rule. This is what we're doing. Here's one that was kind of an interesting one. Who in here heard about, who was it? It was an Olympic team. It was the Olympic rules, but they had to have a specific type of uniform. I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, it was the Swedish swim team, because they felt the swimsuits were not appropriate and they showed too much of the woman, and they were making them more of a spectacle than they were an athlete. The Swedish swim team decided to go with the full body suit down to the knees and up to the forearms. Part of it, they were able to use it as a practical. It makes us more smoother, but they were fined for not complying with the Olympic rules. The irony in that is there was another group. Who was it? No, it was the boys. The boys. I can't remember. I think it was a volleyball team. So the girls swimmers they did this, and they were fined for not following the rules. The boys volleyball team had those big, huge, baggy shorts, all the way down to like the knees, and nice long, like short sleeves up to here, and they were perfectly fine. So it's like these rules, right? Because someone's randomly come up with these rules. Right? Some of you guys even have lived through those where like, well, this is stupid. Speed limits in certain areas. Like some of you guys, like practically, like if you're in the middle of a neighborhood, 25 miles an hour makes sense, right? But then you're out in the middle of like a country road, and there's like no one around, and the houses are like a mile behind, and they're still at like 30 miles an hour, 35, and you're like, doesn't make sense. But if you're going 40 and a cop goes past you, well, technically, yeah.
And then also how highway speeds get slower as you go further away from traffic, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's I think they said efficiency now. Your vehicle actually works at an optimal speed. I would be between 65 and 70. It's like the optimal speed for fuel efficiency and everything. But if you go into Pennsylvania, they still have like not the turnpike, but it's 55 on one of their main freeways. You're like, God, are you kidding me? It literally goes 70 in Ohio to 55.
Yeah.
Oh. The other one is Abbeville. Who comes into Abbeville? 45, 50, and then 25.
Oh. The track gets you.
Yeah, a little turn. Yeah. Well, what's funny was last year I got pulled over on the way to school because I wasn't even late. I was just going 45. I think I dropped down to 35, and a cop pulled me over and he's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I teach at the Career Center, and it's as students for driving past."
Yeah.
They're probably like, oh, Mr. Hollis.
Yeah.
Did anyone say anything to you?
No student, but one of the secretaries was driving past me, so I walked in, and Snyder came up to me. He's like, "So, do I have to watch you now? Do I have to follow you home?" And so the rest of the day they teased me.
Did you get a ticket?
No, he was like, just be careful, it's the neighborhood. I was like, so now I like they're like for about 6 months after I would put the cruise control on. I get to like about a mile, 500 feet away, and I slid out to 25 and go.
We're right on the Abbeville right over
Yeah. There's another place in Brecksville. If you guys are ever in Brecksville, it goes 45 at this little freeway strip, and then it goes right down to a school zone. You're like, whoa. So I had mentioned to you guys Kim Jong-un, and did I tell you guys about the haircut thing? So what about 5 years ago he mandated all the kids, college age and younger, get the haircut he had? This is Kim Jong-un, and that's his haircut. And he mandated that one. Here's another funny side story. Chinese news, they don't really get jokes. Has anybody ever heard of The Onion?
Yes.
The Onion is a spoof. It's a news source, all spoof. So about 10 years ago, I want to say 10, they did an article on the top 5 hottest dictators in the world. And Kim Jong-un won. He was the hottest dictator in the world. Of course, it was a spoof. It was a joke. Chinese government, who was friendly with North Korea, didn't realize it was a joke. And on their national news press corps, they posted, United States finds Kim Jong-un the hottest dictator in the world. So, like, national press was.
So, that's okay. That's actually great.